Hello everyone. Welcome to the astrologynewsreport.com video blog. Today is September 14th, 2014. First, an announcement. My counterpart, David Anton Savage, has bailed out from the show, so I will have to carry on solo without him. Okay, let's take a look at the week that was. Last week, the President and congressional leaders met at the White House to confer over the ISIS situation in the Mideast. Then on Wednesday, President Obama spoke to the nation and laid out his vision and plan for sending the heinous Islamic State devils back to the gates of hell. Taking a look at the transits affecting Mr. Obama's chart, we see Mars boosting his 11th house of ambition, and Jupiter boosting his 7th house of relationships. Yet Saturn, transiting in his 10th house of public actions, contributes some reluctance. So, now it's official. The United States has started another war, or not a war, depending on who you want to listen to. Mr. Obama insists that there will be no American boots on the ground. In other words, only Muslim boots. But the planetary pattern for declaring war doesn't look so good. Here's the chart. What is immediately obvious is that there's the influence of two of the radical planets, Neptune and Uranus, on the two planets that are so necessary for making informed decisions, Mercury and Venus. Uranus, the planet of sudden events, inspiration, and disruption, influences Mercury, the planet of decisions. Neptune, the planet of fantasy, and therefore lack of realism, is influencing Venus, the planet of advice and counsel. Venus is also the planet of values. In other words, what's it worth? How much will this cost? These are some rather ominous signals that the USA is once again embarking on a venture fraught with negative potentials. In other words, it's a case of the law of unintended consequences. One unintended consequence is immediately apparent. By going after ISIS, the USA is indirectly helping out two of its major foes, Syria, that is Bashar al-Assad, and Iran. But at least we have a truly evil opponent, one for whom nobody evinces any sympathy, a holy war. That's the best kind. Quite a number of countries are signing up for this one, including 10 Muslim countries. This brings in the theme of Mars, the planet of comrades, in the sign Scorpio, the sign of alliances and coordinated actions. In fact, last week, Mars entered Anuradha, the lunar sign, which is specifically organizing for a group goal. And here's another interesting factoid. Jupiter, planet of opportunity and optimism, is transiting in Cancer, the USA chart's 8th house, the house of chronic, long-term problems. This same transit of Jupiter was happening when George W. and Company started the Iraq War in 2003. Okay, moving on. Uranus, opposite Mercury last week, which gave us a week of unexpected news. Here's a rundown of some of the highlights. Last week's polling showed that what had previously seemed highly unlikely had suddenly become highly possible: the end of the United Kingdom. In case you haven't been paying attention, Scotland has for many years been yearning for independence. Well, this week the Scots will finally get to vote on it. Another astrological pattern that is contributing to the desire for independence is Jupiter, planet of optimism and encouragement, sending a trine aspect to Uranus, planet of freedom and independence. And then there was the Oscar Pistorius verdict. Obviously he killed her, but the South African judge stunned many when she acquitted him of the murder charge, preferring the lesser charge of negligent homicide, which comes with a much reduced punishment. Uranus, opposite Mercury, is the planet of shock and upset, interacting with the planet of the media. Another shocking video appeared on the internet last week. Baltimore Ravens star football player Ray Rice decking his then fiancée. This incident was known months ago, and Ray Rice was, at that time, suspended for 2 games. But then, along comes this formerly withheld inside the elevator video. Fearing major public backlash, the NFL issued an indefinite suspend for Mr. Rice, which could end up being permanent. Another astrological angle on this is Neptune opposite Venus, the planet of victims and disappointment, influencing the planet that signifies relationship and wife. Not that domestic violence is anything new, but that it would become a major media topic last week when the planetary opposition was exact and the energy was at its most intense. And then, what the hell? Before the week is out, we get another NFL player in trouble. This time it's Adrian Peterson, star running back for the Minnesota Vikings, who's been indicted for child abuse for beating his 4-year-old son. So this seems to call for some further astrological justification. And we need look no further than the chart of the USA for that astrological explanation. The Mars major period, which lights up the 5th house of sports and entertainment in the USA chart, as well as the 12th house of crime and punishment. And Mars, being the planet of competition, is the planet of sports. Okay, checking in now with the ongoing monitoring of the Uranus-K2 in Pisces combination, which is now being augmented by a trine aspect from Jupiter, the planet of increase. Phoenix had its wettest day in 75 years last week. A 3-inch downpour flooded roads, stranded drivers, closed schools, knocked out power for thousands of people, and left at least 2 people dead. On the other side of the globe, northern India is having its worst rainy season in 50 years. Hundreds have already died in the flooding and landslides in Kashmir. Tens of thousands are in danger. Turning to another manifestation of the Uranus-K2 combination, the significator of the unexpected plus the unseen world produces virus epidemics. Besides the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, now there is a spread of a respiratory infection here in the USA. Health officials in several Midwest states are reporting the outbreak of a severe respiratory virus that has sent hundreds of children to the hospital, with some ending up in intensive care. Called enterovirus D68, the disease is estimated to have already infected over 1,000 children in 12 states. Over the past week, Mercury and Rahu have been getting closer and closer together in the detail-oriented sign Virgo. Mercury is the planet of communications as well as equipment, and therefore, communications equipment. Rahu is the significator of invention and innovation, thus, new developments in communication devices. Last week, Apple introduced its new Apple Watch, a wearable smart-watch phone combination that would do Dick Tracy proud. Mercury is also the planet of business transactions, teaming up with Rahu, the planet of innovations. Apple also introduced a new payment system which uses your iPhone instead of a credit card at pay terminals. Okay, that'll do it for this week's Review of the Week. You can keep up with daily astrological developments and contribute your own thoughts by following me on Twitter at Astro News Report.